As they come in. Okay. Most of you know me. I'm Jody Crowley from Criminal Justice. I'm also the co-chair of NMSU AAUP. This is my other co-chair, Miriam Torres, from Curriculum and Instruction. So we have multiple colleges represented. I know that there are people here from at least 3 campuses of the 5 campuses of NMSU. We've got people from Doniana Community College, from Alamogordo. And let's give a big hand for the people who came over the mountains from Alamogordo. That's dedication, and they like to get to the big city every once in a while. That's always an incentive. It's my distinct pleasure to introduce Professor Cary Nelson. When we were arranging this, somebody in the administration said that it sounded more like advocacy than academics. And our basic response was there's a difference. That advocacy and academics go hand in hand, because it's our role to advocate for our students and our profession and for intelligence generally, in a culture where at least one major party believes 5 impossible things before breakfast. So Cary has been organizing faculty for 40 years. He has 27 books, both authored and edited, including Manifesto of a Tenured Radical, Will Teach for Food, and his latest one is No University is an Island. I think you have accomplished a certain thing when, in addition to writing books, there are books written about you. And so in 2009, 20+ people edited a book that's called Cary Nelson, Struggle for the University. He's been AAUP president since 2006. He was vice president of the MLA for 6 years. So this is a man who's been in multiple academic organizations and understands how faculty tick. He's going to tell us. He's currently Jubilee President of Liberal Arts and Sciences at the University of Illinois at Champaign-Urbana. Mr. Cary Nelson, Professor Cary Nelson. And there's no quiz.
Thank you all for coming out. It's quite a nice place to visit down here. Appreciate the Dean of Education letting us have this room. Unfortunately, we only have 10 minutes. The athletic department needs it after that. So in that short time, I think there would be enough time to pass the hat to contribute to the president's salary. She's running a little short these days, and any help we can give her would be good. This is not a cluster of campuses, shall we say, without issues. It's not quite utopia. So it would be presumptuous of me to try to tell you what your situation is, although I occasionally am presumptuous, but not today. What I want to do is sort of connect some of the trends nationally with your own situation and give you kind of a picture from abroad, because I've traversed the country back and forth to the point of absolute exhaustion. But in the course of exhaustion, I do learn a few things. I thought I would start with a quote from a New Yorker issue, January 2010. Privatization can turn a university into a glorified trade school. Business programs and computer science departments will attract wealthy supporters. but who will bankroll poetry? The epigraph comes from an essay reflecting on the dramatic 2009 protests against public higher education budget cuts in California. Not that the protests in California were the most significant higher education protests in, quote, the United States that year. The most dramatic protests took place, none of you will know in all likelihood, but you might, in Puerto Rico against budget cuts. And those protests were broken up by policemen on horseback wielding billy clubs against students and faculty members. There are videotapes of people getting their heads busted open protesting budget cuts in Puerto Rico. And the folks that I know in Puerto Rico said, coming soon to a strip mall near you. The concluding quote from the New Yorker article, Who Will Bankroll Poetry, succinctly embodies what's now, I think, a pretty widespread recognition that the humanities may have more to lose in the current budget wars than either the sciences or the series of technical fields that dominate so many institutions. I think it's fair to say that New Mexico, not necessarily this town, but New Mexico as a whole, already has a good indication of what assaults on the humanities and social sciences can be, because faculty here are no doubt aware of the attacks on ethnic studies programs of several years' duration that have been happening in many places in the country. Typically, whatever you want to call them, Latino, Hispanic American, and Native American programs are first racialized and cast out as un-American, whether they celebrate distinctive cultural traditions or speak frankly about America's genocidal and discriminatory history. But I believe something new and wicked, in addition to those kind of assaults, is coming our way on these fronts. If you want to preserve and protect such academic programs, if you want the faculty to be able to decide what gets taught and what gets funded, the best route is simple: organize and unionize. There is no other way to guarantee the faculty's central authority over the curriculum, an authority that the AAUP has supported since its 1915 declaration. But academic unions are not just about salaries, or shouldn't just be about salaries, therefore. They're about instruction. They're about what kind of teaching we can guarantee. They're about protecting the social and educational mission of the university. Faculty unions, if they focused broadly on the welfare of the community, might help restore public admiration of unions throughout the United States, which, as you know, is at an extraordinarily low ebb. The basic message, as you think about organizing, is very straightforward. You have the power to take back the campus if you want to. If you exercise the power, you can make the campus yours again. You don't have to settle for obscene administrative salaries. You don't have to settle for the bloody football program, stealing money from the academic budget, a really extraordinary event that should have produced occupations of administration buildings. You should have made life impossible for administrators here after that. That should have meant a line had been crossed, an assault against the fundamental mission of the university that you should not have permitted. Now, it may help us make sense of what I think are the emerging challenges to the humanities nationwide to begin by drawing some fundamental contrasts between the sciences and the humanities as they are practiced now and as they confront the contemporary political landscape. And then I'll move on from that to talking about the special challenges humanities programs face in the context of that juxtaposition. Because the risks that I think, especially that humanities instruction faces from other sources beyond the budget wars, like the assessment and accountability movements, may be even greater than those produced by financial crisis.